And welcome to the 20th episode of the New Podcast. My name is Steven, joined as always by producer extraordinaire Kelly. Let's get to it. No Morgan today, had prior engagements. We hope to see him back on the next show. Always love Morgan's input, and especially all the wrestling talk that we go through. Morgan coming up on future episodes. Hit us up on Twitter, at the New Podcast. Check it out. Hit us up if you like the show or if you don't. Huge fight last night. UFC Fight Night 143. The first ESPN card went down. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Everything that happened with that, I cannot wait to touch base on it. UFC starting off the year with a bang, especially their partnership with ESPN. I had a great night last night. Kelly and I had a few waters, played a lot of Jenga, or as some people would pronounce it, Yanga, if depending on what region you're from. Game is amazing, but we're trademarking this right now, is the double Jenga. Double Jenga was the shit for advanced players only. Double Jenga. Good times had by all. Let's talk some MMA news. Not a whole hell of a lot of MMA news this week. More matchup announcements coming down the pipe. But I think the biggest news is that Nate Diaz reportedly turned down a fight against Khabib, saying that he wants $20 million for his next fight no matter who it is. That's a tall order. You can't be going around giving Nate Diaz $20 million for a fight, maybe $5. You know, that's even a lot for a fighter. You know what I mean? But who knows what Nate Diaz gets when he comes back? What do you think, Kelly? What do you think Nate Diaz's worth is against somebody not named Conor McGregor?
$20 million. I love Nate Diaz. 209.
Give him $209 million. Am I right?
$209 million. I think he's worth $20 million. I think he'll bring it in.
Wow, really? Wow. I think maybe that's a bit steep for him. You know what I mean? I think his name does bring pay-per-view, but $20 million? I don't know about that.
I think they're underpaying a lot of those fighters.
Oh, big time, yeah. Oh, UFC's making money. I think that's just what they're saying. They're like, well, if they give Nate Diaz money, that's where they're gonna hold out. If they give Nate Diaz that money, then they're gonna have to give that money to a lot of other people, right?
That is true.
Maybe if he signs some kind of lucrative contract, I think that's the only way they work around it. You know what I mean? They said they give him a good contract for like 3 fights. That's gonna be like $50 million or something stupid like that, or like $30 million plus, including his pay-per-view shares or whatever the hell kind of shit he's working with that. You know what I mean? I think that's the only way you kind of work it in with him. But Nate Diaz wanting money, I would love to have seen him fight Khabib. It's a shame if they aren't giving money. It is for the title, and it's 2 dudes who fought Conor, 2 dudes who beat Conor. And they both got paid that Conor money, so they're thinking that they're going to be getting that much money from fighting each other through the 6 degrees of separation of Conor McGregor.
I love when the fighters get paid, but at the same time, they choose not to fight, and they get to pick who they want to fight, when they want to fight, because now they have the money, and they don't have to fight for a living, basically, because they're paid.
Good call.
So it's a good thing, but it has its downsides in the actual sport.
Mm-hmm. No, very good point, man. Very good point. Because you see these dudes who have done smart with their money, especially like Nick Diaz is one of those guys where he's super loaded off all of his businesses. He's one of those guys where he doesn't have to fight anymore if he wants to. Nate obviously did that because he got a huge chunk of money too. You know what I mean? And it seems like I follow him on Facebook. It seems like he's got his head on his shoulders. He just smokes a lot of weed and goes to concerts and stuff like that. And is like, likes the outdoors. He lives in a good place for it. He's always working out too. But I just don't know. 20 mil is a bit steep. There was a lot of Dillashaw news this week. You know what I mean? As we already know the results of what happened, as I'm sure the rest of the MMA world is well aware of what happened with that fight. But he wants to reportedly move to 145. And fight Holloway. Now, with his loss, obviously, to Cejudo, he was really he was really pushing for that 3-division champ, which would have been obviously huge and interesting. But I don't know if he's got the chops. Holloway's just so big, and Holloway kind of employs more of a quick punch style than even Dillashaw does. And we didn't even get to see what Dillashaw brought to the table with his with being at 125 because the fight was fucking 36 seconds or some shit. You know what I mean? The fight was over quite quickly. But I don't know how he fares at 145. I don't think he has a hope's chance in hell to beat Holloway and how good he is right now. What do you think, Kelly, on that one?
No, I think he's the perfect size for the division that he's champion at 135.
Yeah.
And, I think Max is too big. And I think, when he goes down, he looked like crap at the weigh-ins, man. He was oh man, everything was sucked in on his face.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like a Skeletor. It was terrible. I can't imagine that'd be good for you going into a fight, being so dehydrated the day before.
Oh, yeah. Like, deathly dehydrated.
Yeah, I think he's going to get picked apart by Max. He's like a bigger, better version of him.
Exactly. With longer arms and longer legs. I think that just the size that's definitely what's going to pay dividends in that fight, obviously. The size mismatch we talk about on the show all the time, and that would be totally one of them. With that beatdown in the books, what do you think of the big news is Tyron Woodley wants to move to 185? I think that's a good move actually for him because he's had trouble making weight at 170, and maybe at 185 he could pack on enough muscle to do some damage and maybe be more of a striker at that weight division. I don't know how he sizes up against the likes of like Anderson Silva. He beat Damian Maia, who was a tough 185 as well. I'm sure there's a lot of dudes in between those weight classes, which Nate Marquardt was one of the dudes who did beat Tyron Woodley back in the Strikeforce, and that was another dude who was hovering in between 170 and 185 as kind of a journeyman as well. We'll see. I think it's a good move for him. I don't know who they give him as an opponent. Does he get a title shot right away, or does he have to kind of go through the ranks, maybe one or two fights, and then he gets a title shot? But I think he would probably size up decently against like the likes of Whitaker. Like guys like Luke Rockhold and
Gastelum.
Yeah, Kevin Gastelum. Yeah, Kevin Gastelum sizes up very, very well as well. I think they're actually good friends, though. I think.
Man, I wanted to see that. Okay.
Oh, Kevin Gastelum versus Tyron Woodley?
Yeah.
Oh, that actually would be a really, really good fight. Yeah, no, I hear that. I could be mistaken. I'm not sure. I can't remember what college Tyron Woodley came out of in his wrestling career, because I know that Gastelum was also a college wrestler. One dude I really feel sorry for, and I thought it was a weird matchup, but my hat tips to him, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. I love the guy. It's his storied career of being he was also the backyard boxer guy in the Kimbo kind of circle where he would also box guys in people's backyards. But this is Jorge Masvidal, and he was fighting usually, like, obviously, huge dudes too, taking all comers. He was actually really, really good at it, and kind of had another rivalry in that illegal boxing organization with another dude, a Spanish guy, and they had a rivalry where they had fought 3 times, kind of a back and forth wars. But the dude was way bigger than Jorge, and Jorge held his own the whole time. But taking on another big test is going to be Darren Till against Jorge Masvidal, as announced. I don't know. I don't see how Jorge gets out of that one alive. To tell you the truth, Till is just so big for that weight class, and especially at 170. I don't know if Jorge has usually fought at 155. For him to move up to 170 and fight arguably the biggest 170 in the whole division in Darren Till, Jorge is always taking fights. That's why he's called Gamebred. Dude's one of the toughest dudes on the planet. But this is gonna be a tough one for him to win. It'd be a good bet to bet on Jorge Masvidal. He's a tough dude. He can catch him, but he's never really had that knockout power. He's got great boxing, but he's never really had that knockout power. He'll more beat you by decision.
Might have some more power moving up in weight.
Maybe, yeah, maybe you're right, man. Maybe you're right. I can see that, but that fight's going to be going down coming in the future. This Nashville card got a ton of announcements this weekend. The UFC, I think it's the second ESPN event, and it's in Nashville, and it's already got a ton of fighters already announced for it. It must be coming up soon. I wonder what this ESPN thing is going to be. Like maybe once a month show, maybe. And if they do that, I encourage it. I think it actually could be good, really good. They had Stephen A. Smith on the show. I'll talk about it more when I break it down, but it was a good show. One fight I'm not actually that excited to watch, and I think it could be actually a pretty decent fight, but I just feel like both these dudes deserve better fights. was announced was Justin Gaethje will be fighting Edson Barbosa coming up. And I thought that's kind of shitty because both those guys they both had super critical wins in their career to kind of cement themselves in their comeback. With Barbosa just beat the crap out of that Hooker guy, and then Gaethje with his win over Vic, he has that big win over that guy was undefeated. Now they're pitting these two dudes who should be fighting, the top 4 guys. They're instead fighting each other, which I don't think is a good matchup. I think you really lose momentum of 2 fan favorites in doing that, putting them against each other. It's going to be a good fight. I can guarantee that. It's going to be a stand-up war, 100% guaranteed. I give it the edge to Barbosa, but I do not like that matchup for 2 dudes I like who should be getting paid are now going to be forced to go up against each other. And one guy's got to lose. That's the thing. One guy's got to lose. Maybe had them fight at a later time if they won that second fight against, but I think they deserved a top 5 opponent. One other dude moving up to 170, Kelly, is Anthony Pettis. Moving up to 170, and he's also getting a tough matchup in Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And that's going to be a huge standing brawl. I feel sorry for him. Once again, another dude who's moving up, who had fought at 145, is now moving up to 170 and taking on one of the bigger 170s in Wonderboy. Tough matchup. But Wonderboy is older. What Pettis is very tricky. We'll see what kind of Pettis we get at this. He's also getting up there in age as well. But I have to give the nod to Wonderboy just because of how lanky he is, how rangy he is, and just the karate style against more of a Muay Thai style in Pettis. Who do you think takes that one, Kelly?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Wonderboy. I think it's just going to be way too big of a...
Yeah, exactly. There's weird moves. We're seeing a lot of dudes moving up. Is this an age thing? Is this maybe the weight cutting thing? Maybe we're seeing it for the weight cutting thing, which maybe that's good. We've talked about on the show before that these guys cutting too much weight is dangerous, and obviously like a Dillashaw cutting down to 125, and it obviously was his undoing. That would suck, to be not eating good food, barely, not getting to drink all that time, and just so you could cut down so much weight and then you lose the fight anyways. Fuck that.
I think it causes brain damage. Also, when you get so dehydrated. You may be able to hydrate yourself back to a certain point, but your brain is still dehydrated going into that fight, and I think that's what it really causes the weak chin syndrome.
Yeah. Oh, big time, absolutely. Whether totally, definitely would, because there's water in your brain. There's water up there, so if you're dehydrated, maybe there's not as much water, and that's going to stop the cushioning, or it's not going to be like jelly water or whatever the hell our body produces up in there. It's not going to be enough in there to really protect it, or maybe your muscles don't get rehydrated properly, and that's what kind of keeps your jaw in place is the muscles. And maybe those muscles don't get rehydrated properly, and there's the strength isn't there, and it makes makes the cause of your jaw poking your brain even more so the fact where there's no water in there.
Water. H2O.
You need it to fight.
Don't rely on IV bags, especially when they're illegal now.
Water, helping you fight people since 1837. Water. Oh, one thing I really wanted to talk about, I'll get to it in a second here, but speaking of the weigh-ins, I hate with weight and everything, I hate the fake weigh-ins. We were talking about it last night. Fake weigh-ins are just fucking terrible. It just sucks. I can't stand the fake weigh-ins. It's just so annoying. It's just like, just do the real weigh-ins is the weigh-ins. If you want to do, I agree with doing it at 9. Your body's lighter at that time. I agree with doing it in the morning. It makes total sense. But make that the weigh-ins. I don't know anybody who's like, oh man, you can't do that to the weigh-ins. I love the weigh-ins. I guess it's a sponsor thing, an advertising thing, I guess. Fake weigh-ins blow. Just do the actual one is the one. Do like some kind of press conference later on. Then you don't have to do the stupid weigh-in. Get rid of the scale afterwards. Just do a face-off before the fight. Whatever. Don't do the whole fucking weigh-in thing. Just do a face-off. Call it a day. And that's how you can do your sponsors. Wear some gear. Wear some swag. Wear some shit. And then that's how you do it.
Nobody cares about people pretending to stand on a scale and get weighed.
It's pathetic. No one cares. If you do, hit us up on Twitter, because you're wrong. and you're an odd person. And then watch the first one then. If you love it that much, watch the 9 a.m. one.
Yeah.
But the Cejudo snake incidents, you know what I mean? I thought it was kind of a little... Everyone was like, oh my god, it's a real snake. I'm like, are you dumb? It looked real, but it was obviously fake. It was a good little move. It was kind of silly. It was a good little move, though, by Cejudo. The new belts as well. Cejudo was the first guy to get the new belt. I like him. A lot of people are hating on him. I actually really like them. I think they're kind of cool. It's kind of got like a retro / futuristic look on it. A lot of people were liking it to like Power Rangers and shit like that. I kind of like it actually. I kind of like it. It's like I said, it's different. Switch it up. I like it. It's got a lot of shit involved in it too. Kind of different crap that they've added here. Let me pull it up here. Let's break it down. Legacy belt. It's kind of cool because they'll have like your flag on it. They got new gold buttons. The logo is different, but with the logo in the middle of it, they'll have the fighter's name on it. It's kind of a little bit like the WWE belt, almost in a way as well. It's got some like jewels and shit in it, and it's cool. It's got the inaugural year. What else does this thing have? Oh, it'll have your country on it too. What country you're from will be in there as well. It's kind of cool. Nice. Yeah, doing a good. It looks actually really cool. I like it.
Cejudo likes it.
Yeah.
You got it for killing a snake.
Ooh.
No hate, Dillashaw.
Poor Dillashaw. But remember on the last show I was talking about my take last show? If you're all my listeners, they know I was talking about shit about fucking like a combat, you know what I mean, like jiu-jitsu type league, like a grappling league. And boom, here we go. Announced the second one. UFC people must be listening to the show. I know they are. Combat Jiu-Jitsu Fight Night goes down February 22nd. It's actually a really, really good card, actually. It's got a 4-man Combat Jiu-Jitsu Absolute Championship tournament, too. So, like, how cool is that? Like, and that's just, open weight dudes. And it's 2-on-2, Josh Barnett, Verdum, Gordon Ryan, and Rustem Chizev. And that's just, I love that. So not only that, they got the tournament, absolute division. This is going to be exciting. I cannot wait, especially with Gordon Ryan just being basically, how they got him, I guess, is easy because, like I said, jiu-jitsu probably doesn't pay that well. They probably threw a little bit of dough at him for this. Gordon Ryan being arguably the best grappler in the world right now, taking on a former Abu Dhabi gold medal winner in Fabricio Verdum. This is going to be actually on a very good event, and they give Fabricio something to do with his suspension, getting the opportunity to grapple against Gordon Ryan. I guess they don't take your piss test when it comes to combat jiu-jitsu. Super excited for that card. Goes down February 22nd. And Josh Barnett, too. Josh Barnett did lose to Gordon Ryan. He kind of got manhandled by Gordon Ryan. This guy is huge. Gordon Ryan is, bar none. If you haven't seen some of his matches, check them out. Because this dude is tough. He's just massive arms. And he's just got the skill and the size and the strength. He's so strong. He was just manhandling Cyborg. Roberto Abreu. In their match, and I was like, holy fuck, no one does that. Obviously Cyborg's getting a little bit older for a jiu-jitsu guy who's been around forever, but I'm really excited to see what that card brings. I don't know much about this Rusev Chisholm guy, but obviously he's the lamb sent to the slaughter as the 4th man in on this. Who knows? Maybe we can win this whole thing. I don't have a clue who the dude is. We will find out. Really excited for that. February 22nd goes down, and there's an 8-man tournament as well. It's in LA. Can't wait. It's going to be on Fight Pass, which is cool. You know what I mean? Boom. I'm watching. Boom. Well, with that being said, before I get into the breakdown of the UFC, I actually want to get into my take. It kind of comes in from jiu-jitsu, and it's more about, it's a simple thing. It's more about self-defense. I think that's when it comes to jiu-jitsu or any of that kind of grappling, it's about self-defense. And I encourage people to get some kind of training, self-defense training, whatever it be. I had a fucked up thing happen to me this week. I'm walking to work like I do every day. I work in Vancouver, walking down a beautiful commercial drive in East Van, and my walks are pretty nice. the streets are filled just with other people walking to work. I'm there quite early. All the storefronts are empty, obviously, with it just being, restaurants and clothing stores. It's a very lively street during the day. And I have my headphones on. I'm playing my game. I'm just walking along, not minding my own business. And I notice this dude. He's like stomping and acting weird. So I just, I'm just walking, doing my thing. And this guy's, he's acting weird. Obviously messed up on something or didn't take his meds or something. And I walk past him. I just walk past him, get around him, keep walking, and this guy loses it. Totally loses it on me. And I hear him yelling, and I take off my headphones, and all I hear is this dude screaming at me how he's going to snap my neck, how he's psychotic, how I can't come up behind him like that. And the first thing that popped in my head was, it's go time. Something's going to go down. If I were to ignore him and just keep walking, I'd open myself up to a situation that'd probably be even worse, if I were to show any weakness against this guy, who knows how, in his psychotic state, what he's going to do. So, put my phone away, I get ready, I get ready, and I just yell back at him. So I'm like, it's going down. I just yell back at him. I'm just, I'm fucking walking. I'm just fucking walking. You need to fucking relax, is what I yell at this guy. And now he's kind of slowing down. He's walking towards me, and I'm yelling at him. And then now I start walking towards him. And then I just, once again, I'm like, I'm just walking. I'm just walking to work like I do every day. I'm yelling in this guy's face, is what I'm saying. You need to relax. And he goes, and then he calms down. Oddly enough, every time you tell someone to relax, he usually does the exact opposite. Oddly enough, it worked. But in that moment, I was just prepared for the worst. And I think I came up with a game plan, what to do instantly. I was just going to go for a simple takedown. Obviously, this guy wasn't bigger than me. I'm not a big dude myself, but this guy wasn't bigger than me. But a simple belly-to-belly takedown, trip takedown, a struggle would ensue, and I just hold him down, call the police or do something like that. You know what I mean? But that's just me. You know what I mean? That's my brain thinks grappling, but that's why I think it's the importance of people to get into self-defense who don't have that mentality of grappling, which I have the benefit of having, and the situation diffused. I was surprised, honestly. I really thought that this is it. I'm gonna have to fight this guy. You know what I mean? Because how hostile he was and saying he's gonna snap my neck. I was like, oh shit, this is going down. Did not expect it. But older, young, rich or poor, big or little, even big dudes, everyone should get into some kind of self-defense, of one capacity or another. And I really think it starts with grappling. Especially with jiu-jitsu. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule. If that dude was like 350 pounds and like shredded and massive, obviously I would stand no chance against him. Few people would. I'd run. I'd book it. I totally would. Or if like people have weapons and shit like that. I don't think if they have a weapon, you don't have a weapon, self-defense, I think you just gotta run for it. Just run for it. There's no real self-defense, and that's why I feel sorry for these people who get duped by these scammers and these people who do these terrible self-defense videos and shit like that, and where these people couldn't defend themselves to save their life, and these people are offering this fake-ass self-defense where like, okay, move slowly, and the guy's not going to resist you at all, and twist his elbow, and then grab him here. You're moving lightning fast, and he's going to stand there very limp, and you're gonna be able to do this move to him totally, especially if he has a gun. This will work every time if he has a gun. And people die from this shit. You know what I mean? People get killed because they watch these stupid videos. Oh, and that's so easy. Of course it'll work. It's so easy.
Knee him in the nuts.
Exactly.
You watching the YouTube videos? Everyone's getting kneed in the nuts now. They like it nowadays.
Exactly. People pay good money to get kneed in the nuts. Just be careful what you do. And I think the biggest thing is you always got to prepare. The other person is going to struggle. No matter who they are. If someone's attacking you, you're trying to defend yourself, they're going to struggle in some way, shape, or form. And I think if you're prepared for that, I think that's how you do it. And that's how jiu-jitsu's done, is especially as you're almost kind of countering and using trickery when you attack people with grappling. Because you grab them in a certain way and then pull or push or pull in certain ways to obviously manipulate them to get them to the ground. I think that's what, when I first started jiu-jitsu, I was always wondering, like, how the hell do I do a takedown? Wrestling takedowns I'm not good at. The double leg I was just never good at. But eventually, once I figured out the trip takedown, like the Greco-Roman wrestling takedowns and the judo takedowns, it's flawless, it's very easy. Trip takedown, the whizzer is always a great one to take someone down. And just mobilize them. That's all I was going to do, just take the dude down and immobilize him. And you know, obviously he was mentally just, crazy. And that's what you got to do. But every situation is different, obviously. You know what I mean? And everyone's different. But I think in some way, shape, or form, capacity, if you're out there and you're worried about any of that kind of stuff, take a little bit of training for yourself and just for your health or whatever. I can't say that enough when it comes to just everyday situations. And where I was a very good neighborhood, a very good area, and it can happen to anybody. Perfect example is Eve Torres. Well, especially of a crossover person who was in wrestling as a pro wrestler, very, very successful pro wrestler, and she actually married one of the Gracies, Kelly, and she lives in LA, and she's and a huge advocate for jiu-jitsu, especially for women in self-defense. But what she does is she's so smart with it. She does situational jiu-jitsu, like if you're in the back seat of a car or something like that, or you're in a car and you're being assaulted, how to do moves in that. And I thought that was such a smart move, and it's something you can really use, especially for anybody, or to get out of situations, or at least be able to control the situation and not get hurt. Have a bit of confidence as well. I think that's all it takes too, is obviously confidence. When I was in a situation, like, I wasn't worried because, like I said, the guy wasn't bigger than me, so I wasn't really worried. But I was shocked that something actually was going to go down. Get yourself taken care of out there now, you hear? Yeah, just kind of a little crazy thing that happened to me today, and brought me to think of what my take today is. That's how life rolls. Rolling with the punches as always, and life throws different shit at you along the way, and boom, turning into a talking point for people out there. And I just love grappling. I think that's what's always got me, was pro wrestling, and then grappling, and then MMA. It's just such a cool dynamic, and I've always loved it throughout. And I could see why. It's just been such a popular thing for so long, and it's just one of my things. Hence the show. Even Kelly, you've done some professional training as well. It's something that you could definitely hold your own in a scrap to come. I'm not going out looking for it, but you always want to be prepared, and I think that's what it is, self-defense.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to go out looking for it.
No, me either. No, definitely not. I'm not that person.
Yeah. I can fight anyone. Hey, you big, let's go. I want to prove myself.
I was never that guy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk some MMA. UFC Fight Night 143 in the books, going down live from the Barclays Center. Great night of fights. The whole card was actually quite good. I was really impressed. As we said, we had a few drinks last night at a great establishment. Watching all the card. Let's break her down here. Whoopsie doodle. Pushing the wrong buttons on the show here. Our mega computer here is far too sophisticated. I gotta figure it out here. Need to pull out the manual on this one. Lots of finishes on the card. Goes down here. Jeff Neal beats Bilal Muhammad in unanimous decision. He actually had some good highlights in that fight. I didn't catch the whole fight. Yes, I actually some good highlights on it. Jeff Neal, dude on the killers, on the Natural Born Killer list for the show. Pulls out a good one. Didn't get the finish. If you guess next fight is a decision, you're off the list, buddy. Dennis Bermudez beats Tay Edwards by decision, and afterwards retires in a shock move. Native New Yorker retiring from MMA, saying how he wants to focus on his family. I think his contract was up. I think he just wants to kind of take a step away from MMA for the time being, and get his head straight and see what he wants to do next. Alonzo Menfield won. That was a good fight, actually, too. It was a crazy beatdown by Menfield. Joanne Calderwood wins in a decision. The fight that I caught, though, on the preliminary bouts was Donald Cerrone beating Alexander Hernandez. I was actually quite disappointed in Alexander Hernandez. I thought he would have put actually a better fight than he did. He just got beat down. It was a bit of a sloppy showing from Cerrone, I thought, a little bit. His return to 155. He landed some nice moves. He had that nice head kick, obviously, but he had that really nice body kick I thought in the first there, and it was obviously a one-sided beatdown. But I thought that combo, that rushing combo he was doing the whole time was kind of sloppy, and Hernandez wasn't picking up on it and just kind of eating it rather than countering it. I know it's countering is one thing, but still, I think you got to throw something there. Just absorbing the blows isn't a very good strategy either. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? So I thought with her the amount of hype that was behind this Alex Hernandez guy, I thought we were gonna be getting a better showing, but we did not.
He's only 26 years old. He's pretty young.
Unexcusable.
And it was against Cowboy too.
Inexcusable, I think is the word I want. Inexcusable. Still, maybe this is a good stepping stone for him. I think he was undefeated before that too, so now he gets maybe a good loss on your something that helps people out when you get that loss on your record. So we'll see what happens.
He had one loss in the beginning.
He did
3 fights in basically. Yeah, and then he had a huge win streak.
Crazy. Huh. We'll see what happens with Alex Hernandez.
But once you hit that level, you kind of know what to expect after you hit it and you take that loss. Until then, you're kind of like, you have that mentality where you're better than everybody. And sometimes that makes you not train as hard.
No, very good point.
I don't know if that's the case in this situation, but...
Who knows? It could be. That's fame kills, man, and then you start drinking your own Kool-Aid. That's the worst thing you can do. Exactly that. You're not going to the gym
but there's
as
a lot
many
of
times.
People who have, taken that loss and come back way better than they've ever been.
Yep.
Sometimes even getting the belt.
Oh, big time. Absolutely. Hopefully he does turn this around, because from the skill set I saw that he did showcase, he's got the tools to make it far, but like I said, he kind of maybe was starstruck a little bit. He didn't look that good in this fight. And that's why I was like, who is it? I don't know why this guy's got so much hype behind him.
It's like GSP versus Matt Hughes, first time they fought.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think GSP was starstruck. And his full potential, basically.
To add to your point, that's a perfect example of a guy who turned a loss into a positive was GSP, because that same thing, he had so much hype behind him, and I think that was his actually first loss too. Yeah, Matt Hughes was his first loss. Yeah, to get that first loss on his record and then come back to beat Matt Hughes twice, that was huge for George St. Pierre. Great point, Kelly, and especially for a guy like that. Next fight, Glover Teixeira versus Carl Robertson. Good fight, actually. This one came out of the gates. I thought this one should have won the bonus, because man, it was a crazy ass fight. Huge win for Glover, kind of turning the clock back, because he had kind of been on a bit of a skid there. Dude had fought such a high level for such a long time. Almost gets pounded out with the elbows from the takedown. So people keep going go for that sloppy side takedown and then go for the double leg, and then they just open up the side. They leave their side of their head open for that elbow. Man, we've seen time and time again dudes get knocked out by that move, and we almost saw it here with Glover as well. But somehow the ref didn't stop it. Talk about, they really gave him extra time, because he was knocked loopy big time, but the ref didn't stop it, and Glover takes him, turns it around, regains his composure, turns it around, gets full mount. And then to get that textbook arm triangle choke on him, and my man Daniel Cormier said it best. The guy was holding up his arm. Robertson was already holding up his arm. He just waiting to tap. Like, why'd you hold up your arm? You know what I'm saying? I never. If you're gonna tap, just fucking tap or try to get out, but don't hold up your arm that you're gonna tap. You know what I mean? Weird move. I've never liked that move. Tap if you're gonna tap, but don't make a show of it. You know what I mean? Or try to get out. I think that's what Cormier was trying to say. You're wasting an effort. Just try to get out. You've obviously given up. So, but either way, good win for Glover, coming back with that arm. Let's break it down here. Glover Teixeira, this here, dude's had one hell of a storied career. I don't really put him. He's got a lot of good submission wins, but he's one of those dudes where I don't really put him in with those like Gegard Musashi types for some weird reason. But he's a tough dude and a big guy too. He just lost to Corey Anderson by decision. He beat Misha Kirkunov, TKO in the first round. Lost to Gustafsson. He got KO'd by Gustafsson, actually out in the 5th. Beat Jared Cannonier, who's a very tough dude. He got super KO'd by Anthony Johnson in 13 seconds. Beat Rashad, beat Patrick Cummins, beat OSP. Like, the list goes on. Lost to Phil Davis, lost to John Jones. He's only really lost to the best guys. He even beat. I remember the Ryan Bader fight. I really remember that one. Really stands out to me for some weird reason. Oh, because it was the headline. They headlined that card. That was actually a really good fight. I remember that one because he got wobbled in it by Bader, and then he comes back to knock Bader out. That was a really good fight. That was a really good fight. James DeHuna, he beat Rampage. He beat. The list goes on. The dude's had such a hell of a storied career as Glover, and he's still a very game dude. How old is he here? 39 too. Wow, shit. 28-7. Fuck, and he was on like a huge win streak before. I think that was always his thing, how he hadn't lost since such and such date. Yeah, he hadn't lost since 2006. So he went from 2006 to 2014 without a loss, John Jones being that first loss. And he only lost by decision, too. Tough dude in Glover Teixeira. The next fight, though, could have really stolen the show. And it really did steal the show. It could have stole the money. Was Paige, 12-gauge Van Zants versus Rachel Ostovich. What a fight they put on. Really good to see Rachel get her fight. She didn't get the win. Did all of her home stuff have to play into her mind? I'd have to say, obviously, there's no doubt she's a human being like everyone else on this planet. Obviously, that stuff would be playing in the back of her mind. But she put on a really good show, and I can't wait to see her next fight as well, especially with how the women's division is. They really do need talent, and she was really, really tough. I thought she was just dominating Paige in the first round on the ground. But we, Paige almost gets that heel hook. Paige's jiu-jitsu was incredible. That heel hook was really nasty, and Rachel really had to get out of it a few times. I thought she had it cranked on a few times. She could have maybe switched over to the knee bar, but Rachel was really being really squirmy and making Paige work for that heel hook. But she almost got it. Maybe she could have switched over to knee bar, maybe to more of an ankle lock, you know what I mean? Or like a toe hold, something like that. But she was squirming, so I could see why it would have been tough. And then the second round, we see Paige get that slick arm bars, just super, super tight, going from the back, getting shaken off, and then getting that arm bar. It was almost like a straight arm bar where she was kind of twisting her elbow in the opposite, kind of using the pivot as at the opposite angle, and that's what really, really hurts, and that's why she obviously tapped. No doubt about that she did tap. The referee obviously didn't see it, but there was no protest in Rachel. She definitely did tap, and that looked painful. Like she looked, her arm got jacked right up. Huge win for Paige, though. We're really, Paige really needed a win too. I think Paige was supposed to be the stepping stone for this girl coming into the UFC, and I think Paige really needed that win to keep her name relevant. Where she's had a few losses of recently as well. And I love Paige Van Zants as a fighter. She always comes banging to the table, and she's no slouch. She's got that can-do attitude of a person who's always going to fight to the end. Speaking of the women's division, and one thing that Amanda Nunes no one even talks about too is that she beat Miesha Tate too. You know what I mean? She's beaten all these amazing women fighters. And also, Miesha Tate is on her resume as well as a win. You know what I mean? That's the last three women she's beaten. I think there was somebody else mixed in there, but still, to beat Miesha, to beat Ronda, and then to beat Cyborg. Like, what a resume to have. That's an amazing resume. Anywho, I digress. Breaking it down, 6 degrees of separation. Paige, 12-gauge Van Zant. Her win over Ostovich. She had 2 losses in a row, actually. She lost to the karate hottie, Michelle Watterson. Lost to Jessica Rose Clark. Only by decision, though. But what'd she get knocked? Oh, she got choked out. Yeah, choked out by Michelle Watterson. She beat Beck Rawlings. Loses to Rose. She really got whooped on by Rose. She had a good win streak before that. Alex Chambers she beat. Felice Herring. Kaylin Curran. Courtney Hims. And then there was her Invicta. She really doesn't have that much fights. She's actually quite young as well, I believe. How old is? Yeah, she's only 24. Paige has got a long career ahead of her if she wants to. I think it's more up to her how she takes her career. But we'll definitely be seeing more of Paige. Obviously, who do you think she's going to be fighting next, Kelly? In that division, maybe a rematch with Felice.
Oh, it's exactly.
Wow.
You stole my thoughts, man.
2 girls who are coming off of wins and at the same hype of their career. You know what I mean? I think that one will obviously be a good selling match. That's for sure. There's a lot of girls in that division that could step up to the plate. Maybe even rematch with Michelle Watterson. There's tons of people she could fight. Even Joanna, really. You know what I mean? Why not?
I want to see the Felice Herring fight.
Mm-hmm. Me too. That brings us to the next fight, Joseph Benavidez versus Dustin Ortiz. It was actually a good fight, actually. It was actually a good fight for 125. To have two fights at 125 on this card was a bit of an odd move, but it didn't. It actually panned out. This fight was actually pretty good. Dustin Ortiz versus Joseph Benavidez really put on a show. First round definitely in my mind, went to Benavidez for that knockdown. He really smucked him pretty hard. It was tons of action, and it wasn't pitter patter. These dudes were actually hitting each other, and actually had some good takedowns. Ortiz stole the second one, I thought. But the third was really, really close. But I'd have to give it to Benavidez, who won the fight. It was actually a good fight. I really enjoyed it. And they had another and a local guy. The next fight, Gregor the Gift Gillespie versus Yancy Medeiros. It was a good fight too. Gregor Gillespie. People were booing. I still liked it. It was a grappler versus a guy who's not that great of a grappler, unfortunately. So it was just quite a mauling by the Gift. Gregor he's just one tough dude. Smart move by the UFC to bring in the guy from New York, the up-and-coming New Yorker. Not hard to find them in the MMA world, that's for sure. East Coast makes these tough people something in the water over there. I don't know. I tell you. Maybe it's just the fact that there's a million people, like 10 billion people crammed into one place, something like that, I guess. They were just one-sided. So super tough. Yancy wasn't great on the ground. You did enough to survive, but the stats, if you saw the stats afterwards, it was ridiculous. It's like Yancy threw one punch. That was it. That's all he did. The rest of it, he just was on his back, so he couldn't do anything.
It was a good punch, though.
It was, yeah. It was great punch.
It was better than Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor's punch.
Wow. That's true. At least he did get the one punch on the stat board. Who's next for Gregor, though? Who's next for this dude? I don't even know really. Who's on his record here? This Gregor Giuseppe guy. Let's check him out. Let's break it down. 6 degrees of separation. Gregor the Gift Gillespie. Hot tamales, 13-0. And he's been fighting actually in the UFC for quite some time now. Actually, he's got 6 fights in the UFC. Just kind of been more on the undercard, obviously, really. From the New York organization, Ring of Combat. His first fight was in 2016. Okay, so, yeah, another young guy. He's not even that young. He's like 31, actually. Doesn't really have any other names. Oh, Vince Pichel is actually a tough dude. Jordan Rinaldi's not bad. So he's knocked those dudes out. Arm triangled, Vince from Hell Pichel. I like his nickname. And with a big TKO over Yancy Medeiros, just pounding him out. This dude's a tough dude coming down the pipe at 155. Could maybe give him one of these guys. Throw him in the mix now. He obviously kind of moves up in the 155 division. Who does he fight next? A dude at 155. There's so many people for him to fight. Maybe Frankie Edgar they throw at him. 155, even to mix him up in the top ranks, the Conor McGregor's, I think it's a smart move to have the New Yorker as your face of that division. Who do you think, Kelly? You got any 155ers you think you could fight?
I don't even know the state of the 155-pound division. Right?
Yeah, it's kind of a lot of dudes are going up and a lot of dudes are going down.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that division needs to find some new talent.
Mm-hmm. And maybe they have it here with Gregor Giuseppe.
Oh, what's his name? Sean O'Malley.
Oh, yeah, good call, man, yeah. That would be a great matchup, yeah. Sean O'Malley is a matchup. Oh, that's an awesome idea, man, yeah, Battle of more of like a striker versus a grappler. Both super young, up-and-coming guys. I think Sean O'Malley also from East Coast as well, I believe, so that could be a good rivalry there. Great idea, man. And then we have Greg Hardy versus Adam Crowder, or what the hell is this guy's name? Alan Crowder. Sorry, Alan Crowder. Need to get my glasses out here. What a debacle that was. Good move for the UFC putting on, Greg Hardy. What he did. We have to, give him a second chance. We'll move on. We won't even get into it. But Greg Hardy's performance wasn't great, but I understand why the UFC had to bring him in because it's the ESPN show. He's a former football player. He was a very good football player too, and having him on the card, it was a must-do move, obviously. But the fans got a rough showing there of a kind of an amateur dude not knowing the rules, I don't know, I don't know, but he almost knocked out. He's got this crazy, obviously this 30-second power, which is tough to go up against, and Alan Crowder just weathered the storm and managed to fight past all that, getting the takedown. And we're seeing Greg Hardy, obviously they had said he has no mixed martial arts or no martial arts background. He's just a tough dude. We kind of saw that, obviously, with his ground game, as atrocious as it was. And then to hit him with that huge illegal knee, kind of gas out, and then get that huge illegal knee, like, that was pretty rough. And then, like, he's so exhausted, at the end, Kelly, we were talking about, like, how silly it was, is that he's lying down beside Crowder, who you just illegally kneed, and then one of the doctors goes over to Greg Hardy, and Dan Murray was like, no, don't worry about him, worry about this guy. I just was like, Murgliotto was obviously upset with that, as that's a bad move, and basically an easy disqualification. That was pretty blatant. To say you didn't really know the rules, maybe you went for a way out, laziness, tired, exhaustion, who knows. But that one ends in a disqualification by an amateur fighter. Kind of weird. Yeah, just odd. To the cheers of asshole, too. Like the crowd chanting asshole. The crowd was very upset by that move, too. That brings us to the main event of the evening. Henry Cejudo versus TJ Dillashaw. They went with a bang, man. That's all I gotta say. There's not much to talk about. Fastest fight in the history of the 125 division. Whoever bet on a first round knockout in the first, the first 30 seconds, or like the first, what was the official time on it? 32 seconds. So if you did like the knockout in the first minute, you could have won a lot of money. I'm sure the odds against that were quite large with these two guys. But we see the still champion in Henry Cejudo beating a dehydrated, malnourished, no water in your brains Dillashaw. And we see here the weight cut obviously played the huge factor, because he had like no chin, and as soon as he got bapped even slightly, he had nothing left in him. He just couldn't stand anymore. He couldn't do anything. He was on ice skates. And even for Dana White to come out and to say that it was an early stoppage, I thought that's a bit of a lazy move. And even as Morgan and I were talking about earlier in the week, how upset obviously the UFC would be if Cejudo won, and Dana White was visibly upset by that happening. He was super mad and just saying how it was a bad stoppage. I don't think it was, maybe a tad early, but you don't want to be knocked out. I think, for the future, you don't want to be knocked out, period. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're a fighter, you're going to get, obviously in more opportunities to get knocked out than an average person who doesn't do any boxing or anything like that, any contact sport. But whether or not, you only have a certain amount you got a little timer in your head. Everyone's got a timer in your head of how many times you can get knocked out. And the more knockouts you get, that timer goes down no matter who you are. That's why we see people with no chin, right? Because they've been knocked out too many times. And I think that's what we're erring on the side of caution era now. And I'm fine with that. He was going to take two more heavy shots, and then really be knocked out. So bravo. He lasted an extra 10 seconds. I'm just shocked by the call out of Dana White, because I don't think it was early, but he was visibly upset that it was an early stoppage. Shocking the world. Henry Cejudo in the books, first ESPN card. Especially a good move by them to have like the gold medalist and the Olympic wrestler as well on that one. Super excited for it. Did not disappoint. On to the next one. Next week we got Bellator. Break that down a little bit more on the show here. Talk a little boxing, obviously with the Pacquiao versus Adrian Broner fight. Watched the highlights. It was actually pretty good. Pacquiao was obviously a slower boxing match, which Pacquiao is known for, but he did have some good combos there and really put it on. He looked really good. Everyone was shocked at the output of Pacquiao and his speed. He actually looked really, really good in his match. And it was the weird thing though, that the news was about that Adrian Broner thought he won. At the end of it, he was like shocked. He's like, "What? How did he?" And it was a clear one-sided beatdown. Like even after the fight was over, he like stood on the ropes like he'd won. You know what I mean? And he's but he's like, "What?" You know, like the whole Pikachu meme.
Stolen.
That whole Pikachu meme going around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like loses Pacquiao for 12 rounds. He's like, "What?" Great radio. Let's talk about some pictures. Well, let's. With that being said, we'll do our Bellator breakdown coming up, followed by some wrestling. Just gonna take a quick little break. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Punisher Season 2, now on Netflix. Kicking ass, firing guns, killing people. Shit we love. Punisher, watch it. And when you do, get yourself a glass of water. Stay hydrated.
In a theater nearby. Glass. Directed by M. Night Shyamalan. And starring Bruce Willis, James McAvoy, and Samuel motherfucking Jackson. In a theater near you.
Werther's, do you like chewing stuff forever? God damn, this takes a long time to chew. Get yourself some Werther's.
The candy that lasts forever. I'm done with this caramel, just go away. I think you know what you're getting into when you're getting the caramel. You gotta know what you're getting into. Water. Fish live there. Water. Water. Giving life since the beginning of time. Water.
Water. If you get so dehydrated you need an IV bag, you're doing it wrong.
Are your plants just not growing? Try watering them, you dumbass. For optimal results with your plants and vegetables, water them. Water. It's God's bidet. And welcome back, folks. We hope you enjoyed our messages. And as always, grab yourself a tall, cold glass of water on the house. Breakdown Bellator card come up next weekend. I cannot wait for this. The conclusion of the heavyweight tournament. Run over the card. All the matchups that are going to happen. I think everything's been finalized on it. Can't wait for it. You working next weekend, Kelly?
Nope.
I got the week off. Gonna have nothing but fun to do. And I took out the perfect time. Great event last night. Next Saturday will be another great event. I'll be well rested to be able to drink plenty of beers and watch the show. They don't really have too much on the undercard. Oddly enough. It's kind of weird. Where is this one here? Coming out of the Forum. Oh, cool. In the Forum in California. We have Juan Arculeta versus Ricky Banderas. He's been a Bellator staple. I think the big one, obviously, is Jake Hager versus J.W. Kaiser. Is going to be one that a lot of people are going to watch, obviously, because of Jack Swagger, the former wrestler. So Jake Hager, he was a pro wrestler for a long time, but he was a really good college wrestler. I've talked about it before on the show. He was like a really, really amazing college wrestler. So his first MMA fight, we'll see what happens. He's a big dude. Obviously, and Aaron Pico as well. He's another Bellator name. Stayed one of their young and up-and-comer lighter weight divisions coming out of the camp. The camp with Baby Slice and Aaron Caldwell. He's taking on Henry Corrales in that matchup. Should be a good one with that. But obviously takes us to the main event. Fedor Emelianenko versus Ryan Bader. Going down. I thought they would do a bit of a better card for this one, but I understand it's Bellator. They have some decent names on it, and I think it's going to be a good show, actually. Fedor versus Ryan Bader. Who takes it, Kelly? Who do you got on this one?
Oh, man. I'm going to have to go with Ryan Bader, even though I want Fedor to win.
I think I'm almost kind of leaning in the same direction. I think it's going to be a toss-up. Who punches the person first? So, like every fight, who lands on the chin first? Fedor has the knockout power, but not the chin. And Bader's chin's maybe just a little bit better, I think. And we'll find out. We'll find out here what happens. And it would be quite insane if Fedor won. But obviously, I think he'd have to be the underdog going into this match. Going down live next weekend, we'll have the breakdown on that card. Can't wait to see it. Fedor finally in the spotlight once again. Coming on to you.
If he wins this last championship, do you think he retires?
Whew. Again? I don't know. I think if he wins, I think he'll come back for one more. I think Fedor's always been about the money, I think, number one, and I think he will come back for another fight. I think that's the only reason why he's fighting now is because he got paid so huge. I think he asked for an astronomical amount, and then they just keep signing the checks. So I think he's like, fuck, I really didn't expect them to give me that much money. I guess I have to fight now. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, I don't know. Good call though, man. And I could totally see him maybe retiring and calling it a career. But I think maybe one more. I think he'd have one more in him after that. Maybe some kind of legend fight. Tough call though. Ryan Bader coming out and saying how Bellator's gonna have to pay him a lot if they want him to stay in the heavyweight division. He's just going to focus on 205. Obviously, there's a lot of big dudes out there, for him to fight like the likes of Frank Mir, even Yavi Ayala, you know what I mean? That dude's a big dude in Bellator too. Czech Congo, can you see him going against Czech Congo, you know what I mean? So, obviously, he'd want to get paid, and deservedly so. If he's a 2-division champ, he deserves to be paid hugely. Ryan Bader came over and really helped out Bellator a lot, I think, and I think they've been a perfect fit for each other. I don't think Ryan Bader is all that great in the UFC, and I think he's found a home in Bellator. With all that being said, let's talk some wrestling. Really good Raw leading up to the Royal Rumble. I'll break down the Royal Rumble. That's coming down at the end of the month. Super excited for that. Well documented. Love the Royal Rumble in Arizona. 40,000 people going to be there watching it. They're making a huge deal out of this, and I couldn't be more excited myself. Loving the villain Vince angle that they're going with here with Raw. Got to make Vince McMahon the bad guy, and he comes out of his limo and he's like pointing to the guy like, "Oh, you missed a spot on my car," type thing. Shit like that. That's I eat that shit up. That's good shit. And Braun Strowman redeems himself coming in with this one here and destroying Vince's limo, doing what Braun Strowman should just be doing, going around yelling, not having these face-to-face verbal confrontations. He just should be using his big dumb Hulk strength and running around doing that. Totally works. He rips off the door of the limo. Vince McMahon says he's going to fine him $100,000, and he yells at him, how the thing isn't even worth the $100,000, obviously, and then flips it over. And now Vince says now he's lost his match against Brock Lesnar. Huge news on that one. With now it will not be Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. It's going to be somebody else. They want Braun, I guess, to heal up more, or are they got something bigger that are being built for him for him not to lose to Brock again, and then to possibly face him at WrestleMania. Big win for Sasha and Ronda versus Tamina and Nia, though. It was actually a pretty good match. They put on a pretty good show. I'm getting more and more impressed with Ronda's in-ring ability every week, and I think that's what you want to see as a fan. Let alone, her name's her name. But I think obviously when it comes to those people who did want to do the crossover, they obviously got to put the effort in, and I think we've seen that here with Ronda. She's actually been impressing me with her in-ring ability for how quick. It's still not great, but the progression, I'm seeing more and more progression every week, and that's what you want to see. Good build-up for the Royal Rumble match between Sasha and Ronda, with them getting kind of into it a little bit, with the whole, I'm going to win, and she gets offended, obviously, and she says she's going to win, and yada, yada, yada. And maybe we're having something build up for a four horsewomen battle here with the 4 horsewomen of wrestling and then the 4 horsewomen of MMA going at it. I think that storyline writes itself, obviously, and they got to do it down the road here. It'd be huge for maybe Survivor Series or some shit like that. But good build-up for the Royal Rumble. The fucking Revival. Where's Thing? I wish Morgan was here so I could argue with him about the Revival. And he loves the Revival, and they are by far the worst. They're back where they belong, feuding with the Lucha Party, right where they belong, and they're the worst gimmick to be ripping off the Brain Busters as bad as they are. Is terrible. Arn Anderson must be rolling in his grave because of how terrible these guys are with that gimmick. Move on, and they've also, I'll touch base on the big news that they have had later on here, but we'll get more to Revival, how much they suck. Cena coming out here with hustle, loyalty, and disrespect, am I right? On Vince McMahon coming down, interrupting his speech, but it's John Cena. I think it was more of a monumental note. Rock would do that, or obviously Stone Cold would do that. It's a tip of the hat, obviously, for Vince McMahon to even allow that to happen, but is obviously a good guy for it. But the Chosen One won't stand by, and then Corbin comes out, and Balor comes out, gets the exclamation point with the talk with Vince, kind of having that one-on-one face contact, and how Vince kind of saying, hey, you're kind of too small to be even coming up here and talking about even being to compete for the Universal title. But one thing he had said was, out of the ring, he was the only guy who had held the Universal title. So a good move by Finn to come down. And Jinder, what a perfect heel move for him. Going from how terrible a Revival is for a heel to Jinder, what a perfect heel move he had, kind of groveling to the boss to get in a chance to the Fatal 4-Way, and then cheap shots Finn Balor before the match during his entrance. I thought it was just 2 perfect heel moves by Jinder, and he's just such a good heel. Great wrestler. I think Jinder Mahal is really going to be one of those dudes that also Vince kind of saw had greatness, and I think we're really going to see it with him down the road. It's just a great heel to battle for the title. I liked him actually as the Universal Champion, and he's a good guy. Kelly's Canadian. He's from Calgary, obviously of Sikh descent. Super nice guy. And a great he's just stuck with it. He worked super hard, and here is the end result. He's a major player in the WWE today. He loses to Finn Balor though in an obvious match. They had to make Finn Balor win that to keep his match in the Fatal 4-Way at the end of the show. We're seeing this again here where they're throwing in these multi-guy matches, these multi-person matches, and I love it. I totally eat that shit up. I love that crap. And with the triple threat match for the Intercontinental title, they did not pull out the stops. That was a great match with Lashley versus Rollins versus Ambrose. Great match. I thought Lashley just being injected into the storyline right now. They're having a hard time finding where he's going to fit, but I think they found it with him winning the Intercontinental Championship. It really helps out his career. Lio Rush being his mouthpiece has really worked too. They've organically turned into this great heel team, and I think that we're going to see a bigger heel team come down the pipe here, a corporation team with the return of the McMahons. I hope that's what we see, and maybe some kind of NWO style thing, and who knows where it comes, but I think you always need the muscle for the corporation, and I think Bobby Lashley suits that perfectly. Alexa, at least we get to see her on the show with her talk show again, introducing the women tag belts. It looks like there's just going to be one set of them, and I guess that they will just I don't know if there's going to be a Raw and a SmackDown tag belt, or if it's just one set of belts. I think either way, I think with the one set of belt, it's almost a more illustrious championship, because there's only one tag team belt for the women's, and I think that really sounds cool to me. If they want to have 2, that's cool too, but I think having that one belt makes it a bit more prestigious. But in the end, we have that great Fatal 4-Way. Finn Balor having his Bret Hart moment, having to wrestle 2 times in one night and win it. The Finn Balor push is real. The rumors were true. Finn Balor is going to be obviously getting this push here. Huge move by the WWE to really put the ball into Finn Balor's court and see how he rolls with it. Moving into WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble, obviously, where that puts Finn Balor. Could we see something? Could we see a Balor Club come up and attack Brock Lesnar and him lose the belt that way. The possibilities are endless. Or we just see another squash match with Brock Lesnar just F5ing Finn Balor the whole time and just getting a quick pin. Time will tell. I can't wait for the Royal Rumble now. That match is huge. Moving on to SmackDown Live. Becky Lynch coming in again. Great heel move. Coming, driving in and like tossing the keys to that Carly girl, the backstage interviewer. Really good move. And then she comes up, Kelly. It's kind of actually a cool scene. There's like a bunch of wrestlers. They're like beefcake guys, and they're like just putting tons of shit into a blender to mix it up. Like there's new guys. They're called Heavy Machinery. They weren't really a great tag team in TNA, but they're being called up to the big show now. But their whole thing is steaks and weights. That's their whole thing, like working out and eating food. So they got like a blender, and they're mixing all the shit. They're throwing in like a whole eggs, like with the shell and everything, and like pancakes and just tons of crap in it. And they're blending it up. And they're all like, who's going to drink it? And here Becky Lynch comes, grabs it, and actually drinks this fucking thing. And then she says something like, it's not strong enough. I thought that was really good. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
She must have got paid.
Because eating, like, you're not supposed to, like, the eggshells, you get a good chance of getting, like, salmonella. Exactly, yeah. She didn't, like, she had, like, a good sip, but she didn't, like, chug it or anything like that. Maybe she didn't even, it was a fake or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They might have, like, just, like, cut, the camera to, like, a different blender.
Yeah, exactly. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. But still, either way, it was kind of a cool moment to have Becky like that, and kind of have like that backstage stuff. They don't have enough of that anymore, and I think it works when they do it. Got to be more creative out there, people. Come on, be creative. But the icing on the cake was having a match with the Iconics, versus each one. Peyton Royce took on Becky, and Mickie Kay took on Asuka. Good match with that one as well. It's kind of, it wasn't the best. 2 squash matches in a row. Kind of more of an Asuka move. I liked how Asuka had said that to Becky that you won't be in the shadow of Charlotte Flair anymore. You'll be in the shadow of me. And I thought that was a really cool move by Asuka. They're giving her lines, obviously, to say her English is terrible, but they're giving her lines, and I like that. They got to do it. And AJ we see coming doing the vegan reverse, handing out hot dogs and merch to people. And then I kind of thought it was a cool move how Daniel Bryan kind of snuck through the crowd with a hoodie on and sucker punches him. I thought that was kind of a cool move. They're actually building up some good stuff here with Daniel Bryan. I'm pretty impressed. It was actually a good little move.
That doesn't sound like a cool move.
That sounds terrible.
Sounds terrible.
I know. I was like, oh man, that's really awesome. This guy sucker punched him out of the crowd when he was trying to give away free stuff. It's fucking awesome.
Wow.
And then he gets, and then it was kind of a cool moment because Daniel Bryan, he's a vegan guy, and he gets like slammed through a table of hot dogs, and he's covered in mustard and shit. So it was kind of a cool move with that, making Daniel Bryan obviously wasn't too happy with that. It was a good little move. Cien speaks. We see Cien speak. Andrade Almas, and that his name is now just Andrade, which is kind of weird. WWE has been known to do that, where they just shorten up people. Even Elias's real name was Elias Sampson. That was his first name, and now he's just Elias. So maybe they're just shortening Andrade to just Andrade. I don't think it works though, because you got to go and Andrade Cien Almas. It works out way better. But maybe we're seeing it here. Alberto Del Rio was one of those. Exactly, we just call him Del Rio, or I think it was just Alberto. But he spoke, and it wasn't terrible. He's obviously been working on it. It wasn't terrible. Samoa Joe's attack on Mustafa Ali was perfect. Perfect heel attacking a babyface move right there with Samoa Joe, the big bad guy, attacking the little guy in Mustafa Ali. Perfect move for those guys. I could see them having actually a good rivalry and some good matches, good pairing. By them. I think Samoa Joe deserves a bit more of a title push, but I think this is a good rivalry for both these guys right now. They're kind of finding their place in the roster for SmackDown. But the 5-star match of the year already, I don't throw 5 stars around. That's been documented. I don't throw 5 stars around, and we finally see a 5-star match that was really worth talking about in Andrade Cien Almas versus Rey Mysterio. In a perfect Rudo versus Technico match. Fucking amazing match. It was just absolutely beautiful. I don't want to sound like a broken record about how much I love Rey Mysterio and his resurgence and his new in-ring ability. Just amazing. Just amazing. We even saw like a little bit of, we see CN win this one with a little bit of the Rudo trickery, in having Selena Vega help out and then winning the match dirty. Great move. Maybe we'll see those guys fight each other more. Obviously, they had a huge thing beforehand, how their match was amazing, and Twitter blew up wanting more of these two guys to go up against each other, and that's what they're doing. They're saying, we're listening to the fans, and that's what you want. That's what we'll give you, and that's what they gave him. And it was a perfect setting. Just go with what works. I think that's what you got to do. Is the writers got to get their heads out of their asses, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean sometimes you're just too much on yourself. And you got to just go with the flow. And if people are saying one thing, go with it. Why not? You know what I mean? You get these different things that work organically and these different things that work by accident. And sometimes they're just like, nah, we'll just go on to the next afterwards. No, go with what, if that works, go with it. Shitty to see the Mandy Rose angle is over. They didn't run with that one for too long, but, well, whatever. We'll see. It's or is it? We'll find out. It turns out she was just using the Uso brother there to get at Naomi, and she had gave him a hotel ticket or hotel key, Kelly, and then he arrives to the hotel and she's in lingerie. It's just a ploy to see her in lingerie, obviously. And he comes in and he's like, nah, I don't want to do any of this, and then she just takes a picture of him. She's like, I just wanted to take the picture and I'm going to send it to your wife. But he brought Naomi with him, and they battled it out in the hotel room. It was pretty good little move. But it's shitty to see that they already came to the conclusion of the homewrecker Mandy Rose. Maybe we'll see her be a homewrecker with somebody else or something, or maybe somebody complained or something. I don't know. Still not sold on the Miz and Shane. Great SmackDown. It was a really, really good SmackDown. But I'm still not sold on the Miz and Shane McMahon teaming up. I don't know. You know what I mean? I like their match with the bar was good, and now they get to challenge them for the title at Royal Rumble. Going through the cake at the end of SmackDown, everything was always funny. But the Shane McMahon, he's got to stop doing the coast to coast. He could do it at one time. I don't like Shane McMahon. Don't like him as a wrestler. I know he's good. He's hardcore. Yada yada yada. But his coast to coast has got to go out of his repertoire right now because he just physically can't do it anymore. He could do it before. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying discrediting him at all. He could do it before. He was one of the best guys at doing it before. But that was a long time ago. He can't do it now. With the cake, it almost hit. He looks like he messed up Sheamus' leg because he came down hard on his leg. Guys have to reach forward. If guys have to reach forward for you to do that move, it's not going to really work. How far forward they have to reach, it just doesn't work. Get it out of your repertoire. Move on. Royal Rumble coming in 2 weeks. Can't wait for it. What date are we at today? Oh, it's the 27th. Actually, Royal Rumble's next weekend. Good golly. Miss Molly. Cannot wait for the Royal Rumble. Let's get it on. One thing I also caught, which was interesting, and it was actually a cool little documentary. The WWE network has really been doing some of these cool documentaries, Kelly, and it was kind of like an underground documentary. I didn't know who this guy was. His name was Nigel McGuinness, and he's on the commentating team on the wrestling. It doesn't sound like a big thing, right? He's British. Doesn't sound like a big thing, but I didn't realize he was actually a wrestler beforehand. But it was just this. It was a documentary of how he had like unfortunate event after unfortunate event after unfortunate event like happened to him, like Mr. Bad Luck, and he finally got a chance to wrestle, or not. I mean, to be for WWE, that was his whole goal, was to be in the WWE as a wrestler. But he had bad luck after bad luck after bad luck and couldn't do it. But now he's an announcer, so he's happy with that, and it's kind of a cool story to be that to go a roundabout's way where it was like him and Daniel Bryan or this other. Daniel Bryan's he's on the show. I've talked about him. He's the vegan guy now, right? They were like best friends, and they had came up at the same time. They're both at like basically the same age, same skill set, and they were like good friends. And they were going to come up at the same time. And in their interview with the WWE, their physical, Daniel Bryan's like, he was too honest. Like, we all lied. Everyone lied. You know what I mean? About your injuries, right? You don't want to tell him your injuries. And he was honest. He said, my biceps kind of messed up. And then they're like, oh, okay. Well, so they went and took him to his doctor, and the doctor says, no, we're not going to sign you because your bicep is torn and you need surgery. And he's like, I don't have the money. I don't have health insurance. I'm just an independent wrestler, and it's going to cost him like $8,000. So he decided not to do it. He got a doctor's note saying his arm was fine, but the WWE wouldn't accept it because of it was already on his record basically. So he goes to TNA, and he actually puts on some good matches, but he gets his blood test back, and he's got hepatitis B. Because you can get it from wrestling, right? Because you're wrestling other people, you're getting blood, you know what I mean, sweat on you, you know what I mean? And he doesn't know how he got it, but he gets hepatitis B, gets on this special program, because once again, he's got no money to be able to buy treatment, so he gets on this special program that's free, and totally clean of hepatitis, and then TNA releases him. And he tries again to get with WWE, and they don't respond back, and then he just goes on like this tour. He starts recording himself. I think that's why WWE did it, because he had all of his own footage. He goes on this tour of his last tour where he did like 12 shows, and it was like butt fuck shows. Like 20 people were there, you know what I mean? And then didn't come back after that and got the job to be an announcer. I thought it was kind of a cool little show. Check it out if you haven't. I didn't know who Nigel McGuinness was. If you don't either, check it out. Good little show. With all the AEW news coming out here, one of the biggest crew of people who all want the release from the WWE to move over to All Elite Wrestling is the Kanellises. Maria and Mike Kanellis both want to move over there. They are asking for their release, as is the Revival. Could they get more douchey as they want their release to move over to All Elite Wrestling? And I say good riddance to them as well. One team that doesn't want to leave and wants to spend their whole career as long as they can in WWE is the Club. And just because they're too sweet, man. Too sweet. But it's also rumored Dolph Ziggler wants to leave. I could see that as a move. I could imagine they are offering him huge dough to move over there. I would not doubt it. Let's break down a little bit of the Royal Rumble coming up here. Can't wait for the Royal Rumble. January 27th, next fucking Sunday. I'm super excited. Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor. Obviously, the women and the men's Royal Rumble. We got a fatal four-way for the Cruiserweight Championship between Buddy Murphy, Akira Tozawa, Hideo Itami, and Kalisto. Definitely going with what the crowd wants with all the Japanese wrestlers at 205 Live. And the tough part is when you're the champion of that, you kind of got to talk a little bit. And I don't know if Itami is all that good at talking. Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. Asuka versus Becky Lynch, which should be a great match. Ronda versus Sasha. The Bar versus The Miz and Shane McMahon, which I can almost guarantee they're going to win that one. Definitely makes sense for them to go into WrestleMania as the champions. Miz has done it many times in the past. You get a great match. If you show up to WrestleMania as a tag team match, he's always suited that role very, very well. I would be shocked if he didn't. Obviously, with the amount of people, John Cena is going to be there. Everyone else is going to be there. I can't wait to who's going to be the mystery entrance this year. Who is going to be the legend that they bring back? This is also the time when we start getting the list of the newest Hall of Fame team going to be put in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. Cannot wait. Good. I'm looking through the list here of good. It's a good field of people, especially for the women's division. Lot on the line. Royal Rumble goes down next weekend. We got Bellator and Royal Rumble. Huge weekend for sports and for everything to talk about. Cannot wait. Maybe even do like a Royal Rumble simulcast or something like that. You know what I mean? Because it's the coolest. It's like, I don't know if you know what the Royal Rumble is like. They do like a countdown, every time, right? And it's like, damn, it's like a big buzzer. So it's really, really cool. Maybe we'll think about it. Maybe it could be something fun to do. Anything you want to talk about, buddy?
I saw that video, and TJ Dillashaw was saying that he wants a rematch versus Henry Cejudo. Well, the 125-pound division kind of sucks right now anyways. Mighty Mouse cleaned it out.
Yeah,
basically.
Big time.
And then Henry Cejudo beat Mighty Mouse, so who's left? I think I don't mind if they fight again, but I want him to move up to 135 and fight TJ for his belt And then if he beats him at that weight, then they can go back down. That's what I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. Yeah, that's a great plan to make for more action.
But it does hold up the 135-pound division for a while.
Still, that's another division that doesn't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah, now that Cody's lost twice and guy hurt himself again. Dominic
Cruz, yeah. It's a point of the changing of the guard, but they don't have another guard to change with. Wrap it on up here. Ruckus countdown. How many more days are we to on the Ruckus countdown?
They just said it's gonna show up sometime in February, so anytime next month, I believe.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so a couple weeks.
Yes, not bad. Close by. Ruckus watch. Keep your clock set. Ruckus watch. Oh, shit. All right, man. Well, that about wraps it up here, folks. For producer extraordinaire Kelly, my name is Steven, and you've been listening to the New Podcast. Signing off. People pay good money to get kneed in the nuts.